Hi, Ron. So my idea was that I tried 5 minute production application with several new cool JavaScript frameworks like Next.js, Strapi, and so on. I had the idea that maybe it's too early for that, but what if we have kind of a ribbon, just like um, you know, like any web developer who's learning some programming or starting a project could enter the code there, and with that ribbon, they could click on it and run me in 5 minutes in production, and then that would go to GitLab. Now, our 5 minute application, production application requires a lot of configuration, but within, let's say, 5 minutes, then you could end up running that application in true hypercloud production, something like that. So kind of a ribbon, which is similar to, I don't want to put names there, like Fork Me or, kind of, does it make sense? I mean, when I say ribbon, does it like, is
You
it the
mean a
right terminology?
button or something like you have like Fork Me or Deploy to Heroku or something like that?
Exactly. So a lot of people are learning new stuff. I checked that we had issues for like Fork Me on GitLab or something, which didn't come up, which is not important maybe. But for 5 minutes, like there's tremendous value that someone is teaching Next.js, Strapi.js, some cool JS, Svelte.js in production. So you enter some code, even Rails, and then in 5 minutes that goes to production. That could empower bloggers bloggers or people who create content on YouTube or elsewhere to teach people a new framework to launch their application in 5 minutes in production, something like that. That was an idea.
Cool, that makes sense to me. There's the kind of the deploy to Heroku button, and we could do something equivalent for the 5-minute production app. And then I think we have a button too in GitLab, but the SEO is not leading me to that. And Alper, did you imply that you've tested the 5-minute production app with a couple of JavaScript frameworks?
Yeah, I tried to learn some cool new frameworks, which were in 2020 JavaScript survey tab, and I will publish them in the sandbox first. They don't have a GitLab template, so I'm not sure if they will make it into the examples folder, but I'll ping DZ and Shri in case it's needed. So it works fine, but those applications, new JavaScript applications, they don't have state in the sense which we have in Rails. So that's why it doesn't appear to be, quite to the point. But anyway, there's value to also test the
so they work, but it's not as useful to use the 5-minute production app because they don't have Redis, they don't have a database.
Exactly. They usually rely on like serverless or Netlify or other type of cloud database.
Oh, and I found out why I couldn't find the button, because it's not called a ribbon, it's not called a button, it's called a badge. It's pipeline badges, apparently, these things.
Indeed. All right, I have the next point. So can I, so this was something I shared with DZ 3 weeks ago, and I was not very confident to share it with everybody. But now I feel a little more confident, but don't put any time frames on this, please.
Yes, tomorrow.
I'm so like, as a sidetrack, I was working towards getting Azure certification.
Nice.
And there's some work going on there, but this means that I feel a little more confident that at least an experimental version of 5-minute production should be fairly easy to set up on Azure.
Multi-cloud, yay!
Exactly. So what I want to do is I want to run an experiment on another project, because if I work on the existing project, I might break a lot of things. So So I might have something to show for this in I don't know. I don't want to. Let's say a month's time.
Okay, that's
But
super cool.
yeah, and then once there is like an experimental version running, then DZ and I can make a real plan on how to merge it back into the deploy template project. But there's some movement there, so that's my update.
Cool. That's great. Great work, Sri. For anybody watching this, we're still looking for a volunteer that makes it work on GCP. So if you want to do that, just reach out via Twitter to me or Dimitri or Sri. But that's super exciting. How's the Terraform support for Azure? I think Azure was a embraced Terraform, but what was your experience?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Um,
Oh,
it feels quite rich. I haven't come across any corner where I feel something is lacking yet. We'll see how it goes.
cool.
In terms of looking for volunteers, you know what'll be a good volunteer? If we can get somebody to implement that Vantage SH, uh, the way they implemented the login with CloudFormation.
Oh yeah, that would
If we
also
can
be
get a
cool.
volunteer for that, and for that specifically, we need somebody who has worked on the GitLab Rails application, who has some skills there, because I don't. Uh, I've never done Rails in my life, but yeah, I think that would be really, really valuable add-on if we can get somebody volunteering there.
Okay, cool. Well, and $500 of GitLab swag if it's a non-GitLab Inc. person who contributes either the Vantage SH CloudFormation thing that makes it easier to set up via creating an IAM account via CloudFormation, and for the person, it can be the same person, and then it's cumulative for who does the GCP thing. This is recorded on YouTube, so just link to the video to claim your prize and, of course, the code. Do we have a good issue for the Vantage thing that we can show to people?
We do. We have actually quite a bit of resources. I'm going to add that to the document and potentially the video as well.
Oh.
We have an issue. Let me find it.
If you have the title of the issue, I'll just flash it on the automate cloud credentials retrieval. I think this might be it. But it is not populated.
No, my bad. We don't have an issue. We have a bunch of documents which describe how it's going to work. So let me make an issue out of that. Let me make an issue out of that.
Let's add it to issue 97.
All right, perfect. Yeah.
Template. Cool.
So I'll do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, let me take this moment to actually share the vision around it, because we don't have any other agenda items today, and we have a few minutes remaining.
Go ahead.
So let me do that. Right. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. So the idea is we want to, so this is the absolute bare minimum of what we want to do. So if you are a GitLab 5-minute production user at the moment, what you have to do when it comes to integration with AWS is that you have to go into your project, you have to go into the variable section, and you have to add 3 variables manually. So this is fine. It works great. But we just want to make this process a bit more seamless, a bit more smooth. So we got inspired by a product called Vantage SH, and they have basically a client to manage AWS resources, and they have implemented this single-click connecting your AWS to their product. The way it works for them is that they have a button which says connect to AWS. You do that, it takes you in a new tab, asks you to log in. And once you log in, it takes you to a page which creates a CloudFormation stack. This stack is when executed. So this stack, when executed, actually creates a cross account IAM. So it creates a AWS user, it creates keys for that user, and it passes it back to a webhook that's listening. In that case, it is it's a webhook to the Vantage SH app. But in our case, we want to do this with our product, right? So it's going to look something like this. We have a bunch of buttons in the top when you create your GitLab project. Perhaps we can introduce a new button here or anywhere else. So please refer to the proper UX guidelines on where this button should be. But it should be a project specific button which says connect AWS with this project. And you do that, it goes through the same flow. It asks you to log in at AWS. You log in, you create a cross account CloudFormation stack, and it creates these credentials and saves it inside your project. This is the rough flow that we want to do. So there are basically three parts you have to work on. One is to create the CloudFormation stack itself. This is the stack. This is going to be a CloudFormation template that creates the account and passes it back. The second element is to have some sort of a listener or a webhook that listens to the response coming in from this webhook. And the third part is, of course, to create the UI element. So the button that actually takes you to the first part of the puzzle, which launches the AWS console and asks you to log in. So three things that need to be created. And there will be soon a detailed issue on how this is going to work. For now, this can be used in a lot of places. This can be used in 5-minute production, but also a lot of other AWS integrations that we have. But let's just keep it simple and start with the AWS version. So this is my 2-minute explanation of what we're trying to build. There will be a proper issue that explains all of this in a much clearer way. And yeah, if you have skills for any of these three parts, I think it's a good thing to get started.
That's a great overview, Sri. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I thought about it. I just don't have I don't have many of the skills to implement it, but yes, I thought about it in a fair amount of detail.
Yeah, but visualizing it is just very helpful, and it will hopefully get us more contributions. And just wrapping your head around it is super helpful. Thank you. Cool. We have anything else to discuss today? If not, thanks everyone.